Welcome to another episode of 8 to 5 Engagement. My name is Aaron Myers, joining you from the great state of Minnesota, and I'm the General Manager for Transcend Employee Engagement. I am once again joined by our Senior Sales Executive, Charlie Giroux. Hello, Charlie. How's everything going in St. Louis?
Hello, Aaron. Everything's going well.
We're really pleased to have Carin Sampson as our guest. She's the Vice President of Human Resources and Marketing for IBT Industrial Solutions. Her responsibilities include leading a team who is entirely focused on meeting the needs of the business in a way that creates an outstanding hire to retention employee experience that maximizes relationships and connections across the organization. And prior to joining IBT in 2018, Carin held multiple progressive human resources roles at a private university, 2 Fortune 500 retailers, with the responsibility for leading human resources departments. Currently, Carin holds multiple professional certifications in the areas of HR management, personality profiling, coaching, and emotional intelligence. She holds a Master's of Science in Human Resource Development from Pittsburgh State, go Gorillas, and a Bachelor's of Arts in Biological Sciences from Wichita State University, go Shockers. She is currently a doctoral candidate, a philosophy degree in human capital development. What an impressive resume. What an impressive person. I'd like to introduce you, Carin. Carin, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Aaron. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
We appreciate having you, and we're really excited to talk about IBT, the role that you have with this organization, and basically your retention statistics, which just blew me away. And Charlie's going to start the questioning. Why don't you go ahead, Charlie?
Thanks, Aaron. Carin, again, you and IBT have been a longstanding customer of Transcend Engagement, and we're proud and lucky to do business with you. I wanted you to give a little bit more background and detail to the audience on just who IBT is and what IBT does.
Sure. So IBT is a mid-size industrial distributor. We are 72 years old. We're family owned. We're actually in our 3rd generation of family leadership. We have been a very traditional distributor, and we're really going down this cool digital transformation, which is really exciting right now. We have an outstanding culture. As Aaron mentioned, our retention it will just blow your mind. It's very, very common for us to have people who have been with the company for 20, 30, 40, 45 years.
Well, and that leads me great parallel into my next set of questions. So IBT's been around for 70 years. As you look back on the last 5 or 10 years, is there any one thing, or are there a multitude of things that you feel lead to this high percentage retention rate that you have? And if you don't mind sharing,
Sure.
What is that retention percentage?
Yeah, so our retention rate hovers right around 93%. So we most of our retirement, or most of our turnover, comes from retirements. It's once people join the team, they stay, which is awesome. So we have great experts within our organization. There's no single thing that we can pin retention to, but it is a multitude of different components that leads to that. First and foremost, I would say it's the Cloud family, our ownership and our leadership. They really are committed to treating this team like they are a part of their family. And so it's, they know everybody's names. They know what people have going on in their personal lives. They know about their families. And, over time, as our team has grown and as we've been in business, if you can even imagine working with somebody for 40 years, that's a lifetime. And so those relationships run really deep. Our culture is built on taking care of one another and supporting each other in really a strong community.
Wow, 93%.
Yeah,
that is incredible. I was looking at research from SHRM that was done back in 2018 that shows your industry has about a 60% retention rate. You have to be the envy of your area. And how do you just attributed it, these simple values, but how do you do this when your organization's so spread out? How many different offices and employees do you believe you have?
Yeah, we have 38 locations and about 320 employees. We're across all through the Midwest and South. So we're across 12 different states. Um, to maintain that, it really does come back to this solid leadership. We have a group of people who have, many of them, grown up in the organization. And so those values are really deeply instilled within how they lead, how they function, how they support one another. And, and our executive leadership team certainly leads by example and demonstrates that. And we reinforce our values in every interaction. I mean, every single meeting we talk about, our heroic pillars, which is, our version of core values. And we continue to talk about, examples of that within the company. So there's not, there's really not a day that goes by that we're not talking about it and showing people simple ways that people have demonstrated those core values. So whether it's a positive customer experience or family and community, which is another core pillar, we post that, we share it, we celebrate it, and that just continues to drive that behavior and makes other people want to participate in that type of an environment.
So Carin, working firsthand with IBT over the last couple of years, I want to read something from your guys' website that I think speaks volumes about IBT, because I do like to poke around in my customers' websites to see what's going on. And in there, and I'll quote, says, "We believe that our employees are the heart of our brand, and it's only through their knowledge and dedication that we can provide the solutions that provide our customers with success." You must have exceptional leadership in place to maintain such a positive culture like that. What leadership expectations do you have for your first line managers, and how important are they to you retaining your employees?
And that's absolutely, I would say 100% of it. It all rolls up. Uh, it's just tremendous. We expect them to truly take care of their team and to support them, and so that means, you know, beyond just kind of superficial types of actions or activities. It goes beyond just managing. We expect that management team to be true leaders. And sometimes that can sound really fluffy on the surface. I think you hear that a lot, but it's more than just throwing a pizza party or having perks or having incentives. It comes down to understanding that feedback is something that is valuable, not just for that individual in the moment, not just for the performance of the individual branch, but it's valuable for that person's long-term growth and development, that it's valuable to that person's ability to provide for their family, that it goes beyond, it's bigger and deeper than just we want to make the next sale. And I think that that spirit really permeates throughout the organization and with our customers as well. So we have that same level of care for our team that we provide for our customers, and it's really a tightly integrated dynamic.
Yeah, that's Charlie. That was a really good question, and Carin, that's an even better answer. I guess my next question, let's focus on the workers and kind of the times that we live in right now. So this is a strategic level issue, I believe. From now to the next 10 years, we're going to be facing the battle for talent. Statistics show that it's going to be as crucial of an era as we've seen as organizations try to recruit and retain people, where skilled labor, something that your industry is very, very reliant on, becomes scarcer. And as the baby boomers move out, and you have Generation Y and Generation Z starting to make up the majority of the workplace. So I'm sure you have this problem here, and again, studies show this, but Generation Y and Z are more prone to job hopping, and not necessarily because they're bored or whatever. They just, one of the key factors is they have a lot of confidence in their ability to handle higher levels of responsibility. Mm-hmm. And with that in hand, how do you temper and communicate that to that generation when in IBT, they may not have an opportunity to get promoted until someone retires with your 93% retention rate.
Yeah. So it's interesting the way that we've solved that. We obviously have a lot of baby boomers within our workforce. If you've been somewhere for 40 years, you are just doing the math, you're at that age range. But we really don't try to temper those expectations within our team. Instead, we have structured our training programs and our career paths to support that type of a interest from our younger generations. And I think part of it too is not just generational, but just where somebody is in their, that stage of their career. They're really at a place where they're building and they're trying to build their life. They're trying to build their income. They're trying to build their family. All of those things are kind of happening at the same time. And just in that stage where Gen Y and Gen Z happen to be. So we've really done a phenomenal job of structuring long-term career growth through training programs. And so from our entry-level staff, when they come on board, they join a program which we call CRISP. And at every level, there's actually 8 levels within this training program. And at each level, once they complete it successfully, then they promote to a higher level of responsibility and they get a pay increase. So in that regard, we are really trying to tap into that desire, that need for growth and responsibility, that confidence that you see from younger professionals, and help them to have that at IBT, to have variety and growth and autonomy. And those are the things that, regardless of what age you are, that drives engagement and retention. And so we really try to find ways that we can do that within our structure. And it's not only that, but it's not like these folks are staying here for 40 years and they do the same job for 40 years. That just, that doesn't happen. So we have a lot of opportunities for them to get engaged in different activities, different work, to try new things. We have multiple times, we have things that are called results acceleration teams. So if we have a large organizational challenge that we need to tackle, and a lot of times they are really big, complex, like wicked goals, we will put a call out for volunteers and say, hey, anyone who's interested in helping us solve this problem can join the team, and we're going to go out and find a solution. So we don't, put the action steps together in advance. We let the team drive that, and that gives them a lot of interesting work to do. And so that helps, I think, also. And it's really led to our teams having opportunities for different positions, promotional positions. It exposes them to our executive team, helps them gain new skills. And so even though it's not like a formalized, training program where we're trying to develop a certain skill set, it does that naturally. So I think those two things really help us, to keep the team on board for longer, regardless of what age they are.
So Carin, I think you might have answered my question, but I know our viewers don't know this. I know this because of how closely we work with you and your team. But, as IBT continues to grow, you're creating new jobs, new opportunities. How is IBT attracting, to Erin's point, Gen X, Gen Y? And do you use the unmatched retention rate that you hold as a lure, or are your new employees finding that as, ooh, wait a minute, 40 years? Yeah, I wasn't expecting to stay anywhere for 40 years. Like I'm 22, I can conquer the world. This is just a launch point for my career. See you later.
Yeah. I would probably bet $100 that there's not a single person here who's been here for 40 years who thought when they joined the company at 22 that they were going to stay here for that long. But yeah, absolutely. We talk about that in our recruiting process. It is attractive and it is uncommon in the world we live in. So, I think one of the cultural challenges and one of the things that leads to job hopping from company to company is, and why that's more prevalent now than it was in the past, is because there's not as much a commitment from the company to the employee. And we really have that. We have a really tight bond and that connection. So that is really appealing to people. It's something that they can't get elsewhere. And we talk about it a lot, and not like, hey, you're going to join IBT and we expect you to stay here for 40 years. But it's more that, hey, we're going to keep you excited. We're going to help you try new things, learn new things, and you're going to want to stay here for 40 years. And our team cares about one another because they work together forever. They really are like family. And I think you hear a lot of companies talk about that, and I don't think that's uncommon as an aspirational goal when it comes to values. But that is actually true and accurate and in practice at IBT.
And Carin, I think I'm going to have to go back in my files and look for this statistic, but I think you hit the nail on the head. You are now starting to see more job hopping between really all generations when they work for an organization that they don't feel has their best interest. And I think we saw a lot of that when you see, especially in manufacturing, and whether it's the automotive industry, whether it's in aviation, when you got rid of pensions, you got rid of some of these other healthcare benefits, you got rid of kind of this employee package, and you went to more 401ks and a kind of a Wild West mentality of, hey, employee, you take care of yourself. Employer, we're going to take care of ourselves. And I think that's where you see some friction. So it warms my heart, and it should warm our viewers' hearts to know that there are organizations like IBT that put the employee first. And when they say that, they truly mean that.
Yeah, and I think it's important to know too that we don't, that has a business benefit, that because we treat our team well, or we treat our employees well, they in turn treat our customers well, and that helps us overall. It helps us to be sustainable, and it's not it is altruistic, but it's not 100% altruistic. There's gain from both parties. It's mutually beneficial.
So, Carin,
Mhm.
I'm a person that judges people and organizations when things aren't going well.
Yeah,
See how they react. And let's talk about COVID. COVID
sure.
obviously had an impact on everybody. Somehow, some way it affected them. Whether your people are suffering from burnout, isolation, a lack of trust. I'm not saying your people were, but just in
Mhm.
general, something negative happened when everyone was trying to adjust to this pandemic. So what problems did COVID create for you, and how did you handle those situations?
Yeah, I think we encountered all of those problems. It may not have been that they didn't trust IBT or leadership, but there's just, I think, even myself, a general sense of, you know, discomfort with the unknown. That there were so many things changing so fast that you didn't know what was going to be coming around the next corner. Um, there were definitely a lot of physicians who ended up working harder than they normally would in order to maintain, and so we certainly saw some burnout and challenges related to that. But we did as much as we possibly could to limit the business impact and that impact on our employees. So I'll give you a few examples. Um, we communicated really regularly and with full transparency. So even if we didn't know what was going on, we said, hey guys, we don't know. And we made sure to make a proactive effort to get in front of it and say, hey, we know that this is going on. We are not sure how it's going to affect us just yet, but we're working on it, and we're here to support you. And let us know if there are things that you have ideas on, or ways that we can tackle it. We also had some financial challenges throughout COVID. I know a lot of businesses did, and we took every step that we could to minimize that impact on our employees. So, it would have been a very natural move for us to, even cut pay on certain positions or things like that. But instead, we said, okay, here's the number that we have to get to, and we ended up backing into that by saying, well, if we gave everybody 3 days off unpaid, we could hit the mark there. So, so that's not pleasant, but you do get a day off, and you get to choose when that is. So we said, here's the window. You can plan if you want to take all of that time at once, if you want to spread it out. So then our team could choose, here's how this is going to affect me financially. Maybe I can tie it to vacation time, where I can get a break and get some time away. So that's just one example. We did something similar with vacation time, where we asked people to take their vacation time earlier than they probably normally would have. So part of that helped us to manage burnout and to have our team take some time away. That it's very easy, especially when we went from working in the office to working in our homes, that you just keep going. 5 o'clock hits and you work. So we took steps to tell people, hey, let's take a break. Let's pause from this. But we actually saw a lot of positive things come from it when it came to our overall communication. So we were talking about earlier, IBT is really distributed geographically. And there were things that we did prior to COVID that our branch teams were not involved in and were not engaged in. So we did quarterly kind of all hands town hall types of meetings, and our branch teams were not invited, so that's like, 2/3 of our company. And during COVID, we were able to implement new technology where the teams could all join together. And then we did social time, networking time before and after those meetings, so that the team could engage with one another, talk, vent, share some experiences. So in that respect, it actually improved some of our communication across the company too.
Well, one thing that we are finding as a common thread between successful companies is that it seems that the stronger there is a sense of corporate social responsibility, there seems to be that kind of correlates with higher retention.
Mm-hmm.
If you agree with that, does IBT have any feel good corporate social responsibility stories for the stakeholders?
Yeah. We have wonderful corporate social responsibility programs. We do scholarships for the children and grandchildren of our employees every year. We have the Cloud Family Foundation, which does a lot of really positive things in the community. And we tie that in kind of into our day-to-day work lives. So prior to COVID, when we had on-site meetings and events, we partnered with an organization that puts together kits for people who are survivors of natural disasters. So they're like hygiene kits. And so at every single meeting, every company event that was, whether it was just employees or if our customers were joining us too, we had stations set up where people can pack those kits, which is really, I think, a lot of fun. So we do that, 4, 5, 6 times a year. It feels really good for our team. And then we know we're contributing to a good cause. We also do food drives every year around the holidays. This past year, we had one of our branches collect over 3,500 cans to deliver to a food bank. And they did that in 3 days. So it was like 3,000 pounds of food that they collected over the course of 3 days. And we do that every year, and many other things, but those are some recent highlights.
I really think people are always looking for a magic answer to improve this quality of life, human capital performance. But to me, it's pretty obvious that the reason why IBT succeeds is because of your efforts, Carin, and because your organization is focused on engagement and holding everybody to a high standard of corporate social responsibility. I mean, bottom line, you've made engagement a thing, and we at Transcend are just honored. We're proud to associate with such a great organization with people like you. And Carin, once again, thank you so much for coming out and talking to us today. We really appreciate you taking the time.
You are so welcome, and thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. And on behalf of Charlie and all at our organization, thank you everybody for joining us. And remember, at Transcend Engagement, we offer modern informational and service solutions for today's workforce. People first, people always. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time.